So a while back we put electric exhaust cutouts on my F-150. You guys might remember the video. Well, some people said in the comment section below that they was going to start leaking, and sure enough it did. Probably 2 weeks in, it started not wanting to close all the way and just started leaking all the time. Now it's rattling and it never wants to open. It takes me like sometimes 50 tries to get the thing open. So when I first went with it, I didn't want to go buy an expensive cutout because I didn't know if I was going to like it. I thought worst case scenario, if I didn't like it, I would just take off the Flowmaster and leave stock, or take off stock and run Flowmasters with the tip out the back. Well, I end up loving the way it sounds. I love having the option of being completely quiet or having that Flowmaster sound. I really like Flowmasters on V8s. So we went on jegs.com. This was $120. The one I had on there before was like $40 for the whole entire kit. So I didn't expect it to last long. I could have went with another one, same exact setup, but it was a more well-known brand. I think it was $170 just for one cutout. So I'm hoping Jegs does me good and this one lasts. So all we got to do is pull out 3 3/8 bolts, bolts and nuts that holds the old one in the truck, and then we'll slap this one on, and hopefully it fixes our problem. Also, we had that wireless remote set up, which I never liked. I'm wanting to install the switch, but I don't know if I'll do that in today's video. I do like the remote, but I'd rather have this switch in the dash, you know, all nice. So we might do that on a later date. There's the old F-150. Becca was throwing this this carpet away a long time ago out of my son's room, and I kept it for days like this. You can tell the ground's all wet and nasty, so it's really nice to be able to lay on a nice piece of, like a nice rug, to climb up under the truck. Now, what I like about this truck is you don't have to jack it up to even change the oil. So there's the exhaust cutout. Still looking nice, everything's neat, and nothing rattles or anything other than that cheap exhaust cutout. So we just got to take 3 bolts out. We can pull that out, and hopefully the bolt pattern matches up on this one. I wouldn't imagine it would be any different, so we can slide this right in. And then this has a different style plug on it. So what I'm going to do is leave this plug on and take the Jegs wiring harness and cut the male part off of it, and basically unplug this and cut this plug off and solder it onto the Jegs connector, so it'll all plug up to my factory harness. So it doesn't look like it was leaking any, or you'd be able to see the blow by from the cutout. But yeah, you would hear that rattling right there. So I'm just going to cut this harness off now, and then be able to solder on the new connector to this harness, and slide the new one in, bolt it up. And another thing, the exhaust shop had made their own bolts because they didn't have any long enough. They used studs. And I'm going to replace those with actual bolts. So there's the old cutout, old rattling. And I thought it was maybe these bolts coming loose, but it's not. It's actually the whole shaft. It's probably where it's just heated up inside here and melted it up. So it's been a while since you guys have seen the F150. I think the last video was the radio, and since then we've added this eBay mesh grill that's got the fake carbon fiber look. I originally wanted to get this painted body color and leave the grill part black, but it was like 150 bucks, so I went ahead and installed it, and it don't look half bad in there being that fake carbon fiber, but I will eventually get it painted silver. I added Lauren sent us a bunch of cutout RBGs, and I painted it with bed liner and then red paint over it and welded some nuts and some bolts on the back of it. Just bolted that in the grill. I think it looks awesome. It looks real fancy pants. I took off the chrome step bars and added these black ones off of eBay. These was like 125 bucks, super cheap, and it got those big fat chrome ones off my truck. I've also added some blacked out LED taillights from eBay. eBay everything. So these are really nice. They got the halos around and then the LED banks at top and bottom. Also got the third brake light. Actually, my brother got me that for Christmas. But yeah, she's coming along. I put a big fat daddy dent in the tailgate. I was hauling a pallet from Duromax with the engines and stuff, and the pallet fell over coming down the driveway, dented and chipped my paint. So we're trying to de-chrome this truck. I'm waiting for my tires to wear out before we get wheels and tires, because my tires are still in really good shape. I've got 25,000 miles on these tires. Pretty crazy how they've held up. Just got her detailed. She looks all nice and pretty. Off-road LED bar sent us some LED headlight bulbs. I actually already have their LED headlight bulbs in these headlights, but I bought some new eBay headlights to throw in this. So today we're going to be slapping those in and you know, de-chroming this truck a little bit more. Okay, so I hooked up this halo kind of C that's around the headlight to the parking light, the running lights or whatever, and I'm only using, and I hate these things, but these little connectors that just bite into the wire. You don't have to cut or splice anything, because I want to order some waterproof connectors that I can actually wire them up so you can unplug everything. Right now, if I was to remove the headlights, I would have to remove these to get the headlights all the way out, and I don't want it to be that way. I'm just doing this to get them on and get them going. So I'll show you how I had to install the headlight bulbs from Off-Road LED Bar in these headlight housings, because it was not tricky, but you know, it's just not pop in and you're good. So again, for some reason this company that made these headlights used Dodge headlight bulbs instead of the Ford factory ones, which doesn't make any sense. I had Off-Road LED Bars send me some Ford LED bulbs, and the best thing I like about Off-Road LED Bars is they don't use the cooling fan. They use this braided stainless wire, I guess, to cool them off, so that'll pull heat out of the LED bulb. I've had a problem with the fans before. Becca's Tahoe has the LEDs with the fan on them. One fan has stopped working and it overheats the headlight bulb in just a few minutes. So I would much rather have this, because it's something you're not going to have to worry about. And Off-Road LED Bars now gives a lifetime warranty on all their bulbs. That means, you know, if you buy you a new truck, you put Off-Road LED Bar LED lights in it, you'll never have to buy another set. I like them quite a bit. I've been looking at them for a while. So on the headlight, you have this little rubber little sleeve that keeps everything sealed up, and there's our bulb. Just going to unplug that. Then on this, if you'll push down on this, and towards the top of the headlight this little clip will pop up, and you remove that little factory halogen headlight bulb, which is trash. So what I found out with these LEDs, since they're a bigger bulb, you're going to have to remove this whole hinge mechanism completely off there, because this housing's so large. It's a pretty tight fit getting this thing in there. She's snug. You see it pop down in there really firm. These headlight bulbs, if you notice, they have a little lip up there that sets down in a lip in the headlight, so make sure you just line that up and you're good to go. So we got that put all in there. Now I'm going to take this and run it around this, and it's really hard to show you this, but we're going to get one side clipped in. There we go. Okay, now if that's installed, now we can push it just like it factory went. That's going to hold pressure on the headlight and not let it leak. So since these fins are sticking up really high, what I've done is first we're going to plug this up, and on these headlights, hot is the blue one, and they're marked hot and ground on the little plug. Now I crammed this whole thing down inside the headlight housing, this whole plug and everything, just to get it out of my way. We got that all out of our way. Then I took my knife and cut a little slit, push those fins through that to let them do their thing and dissipate the heat. And it takes a little working, but you can get this boot back around this headlight. It's about as good as I'm going to get it. You can see stuff is crammed in there. So now we can peel off these little paper things and install them in the truck. Now all we have to do is pull this wire back and test which one is ground and which one is the running lights, because there's a ground, a running light, and a signal light pulse wire, you know, that'll pulse to let the signal light flash. So we don't want that one, because this wire right here is going to light up that little halo C around the headlight. So I'm going to turn the signal on and get my light tester, test out the wires. Okay, so you see, come on baby, I need to turn my headlight on. Cool. You can see this one is the signal light. The one next to it's going to be the running light, and that's going to be the ground. So we're going to want to tie into this middle one for hot and this one for ground. So how these little boogers work, like I said, I usually never use them. You slide, this wire is capped off. You see where it won't go all the way through. Take this, you pop it through the side there. You pop that all the way down in there, and then you just clamp that puppy shut.
As long as you have been doing this, I have never seen one of these.
Well, it's because I solder everything and actually use real fittings or real connectors on stuff. These are pretty handy. Get you out of a pinch. When I push that little bar in, it's biting into this wire and on this wire and completing the circuit. Now we're going to set this right here. Plug that up. Let's see if it works. Does the C come on?
Yep.
Cool. We'll test everything else. Running lights on, the orange light?
Yeah.
And the signal.
Good.
Alright, so now that we got our new headlights installed, Off-Road LED Bars sells the kit to put a light bar behind your grill. And I like that because I don't like a light bar on your roof, but I do like a light bar. So we're going to be installing this. And this works for, I think, like a 13 through 15 F-150. Some years it's on screen. But the links for all these products, the headlight bulbs we use, the headlight housings, and this light bar is in the description. So it comes with these brackets like this. We're going to take the bolt out of this grill stop. This is what the grill kind of bumps up against. And we're going to put this, put this bracket in between the bolt and this little bracket. You'll see. Don't drop it. Don't drop the soap. Don't drop the soap, baby. Drop the soap. Don't drop the soap in the shower. I'm just snugging stuff right now. There's one on each side. Braxton about fell. That would have been funny. I would have laughed.
I could have hit my head on the sawhorse.
Oh, that would have been really hilarious. We got the light bar that I'm gonna replace the hardware that comes with the light bar with some, about to drop some bolts, with some lock nuts and some 1/4-inch bolts, because I would rather have lock nuts instead of lock washers. So, got all this installed. Alright, so there she is installed. I don't know where it's going to be clocked yet, but how I'm going to wire this up, because I don't want to run wires up in the cabin stuff. I'm basically, for now, I'm going to install a relay on the inside side of my fender, and put a relay that's going to turn on, what do you think, with my fog lights? Pretty dope. So I can hook it up to turn on with my fog lights, or I can get it to turn on with my high beams. I was thinking high beams would be pretty cool. Have a signal wire coming from the high beams when your high beams are on, the light bars on, because that's the only time you're going to really need your light bar. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get my relay. They do have harnesses. Off-road LED bars does sell harnesses, but I like to make my own size. I might use this harness and just cut it down. That's probably what we'll do. So let me go grab a harness and we'll be right back. So we got the relay mounted. Can you show that? Maybe. Mounted the relay right there on the firewall. We got the ground hooked up with the original ground. The only thing we have to do, the last thing we'll do, is tie in, just run this around here and hook it to the positive. Well, I bought these one night. You're on Instagram and your phone's always listening to what you're talking about. So I was talking about some wiring connectors, and boom, for some reason Instagram started showing me wiring connectors. I've seen these before, but they're solder. So basically the colored lines, like waterproof seals that are around the wire, and it's all heat shrink. And then that chunk of metal right there is low heat solder. So when you heat it with a torch, you got to be easy and not burn through the heat shrink, but it'll solder it and seal it all in one go. They work pretty decent. I don't use them a ton, but I'm using them on this. I mean, it would be nice to have a nice unpluggable joint right here, but as I said on my headlights, I don't have any in stock right now. We're just going to heat that up, make sure we don't melt through it. But I don't know if you guys can tell, but that did melt some of that solder.
Focus.
And can you see it?
Now we can.
Okay, so I've ran this wire behind my headlight. I do need to pull out my headlight, but we're going to test some wires on it. So we're going to go ahead and hook up our hot wire, which we should have zip tied with the rest of them. Braxton didn't think about it. So that's my amp wire right there that goes back to my subwoofer. Oh, it's already plugged up. You can hear the relay kicking. Let's cut that off. Pull that off. And I think we'll see. Let's see what happens here. The ground should just be for the LEDs on the actual plug. I'm gonna say the yellow one's hot and the red is not. Ooh. Ooh. Did my bulb burn out?
I had to say, or your thing's broke.
Don't you ever.
Oh, there we go.
So yellow is hot. Oh gosh, red is not. So basically, when we provide hot to this red one, it turns on the light bar. Opens the relay circuit. So we just need to tie this into the high beam signal wire that provides hot to the high beam, and then we're still fused on our own light bar and everything. Does that make any sense to you, Braxton?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've tied in the red signal wire into my high beam hot wire. So we can tape all this up nicely. It's soldered, heat shrinked, and then I capped these off with some small heat shrink. So should be all safe and golden. So now I'm going to slide all this back in. Get out of there. What the world is that?
Fuse.
Oh, I was like, what is that plastic noise? Of course, what do you know? Braxton not doing his job.
Greg not. You're welcome.
Bam.
I just saved your life.
Why?
Because this was in that hole and it would have exploded.
Oh, thank you.
Look at this gas powered soldering iron wouldn't work.
So the headlights are on, right?
Yes, Poppy. Dang, boy.
Yeah. So we got the light bar tied in the high beams, because that's really the only time you're going to use high beams, when no one else is around and you're not going to blind someone. So now we can put this little heat shield flap right back in here. It's got this little screw clip. Pop that in. Oh, holy moly. Don't start. Hey! Look at that. It's pretty sick.
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 Sick. Incognito.
Incognito. Alright, last step of the lighting upgrade. And then we'll have everything upgraded on the truck. Except for, I got some ambient lightings that I still haven't ever put in my truck. But off-road LED also has fog lights for a 13 F-150. So to recap, we put LED headlight bulbs. We put these aftermarket headlights, and then they're pretty decent. They're not the greatest in the world, but they're still as good as my factory ones, I feel like. So they're fine. The high beams is what's lacking, and it's not the LED's fault. It's the actual little projector that's in there. It's not the greatest of quality. Low beam's perfectly fine, but high beam you really can't tell that big of a difference. So that's why I hooked up my light bar to my high beam. So off-road LED also has fog lights for F-150s. I'm going to unhook mine from through here. You can see that. Oh my gosh. I'm going to lay that right there. Oh. And there she is. She's all installed. I'm going to actually zip tie this excess wire up so it won't hang down and pull on the light harness. I'm going to just zip tie it to this bracket right here. And then we'll go do a night shot and show you how bright the upgrades are. And there she is. Of course, it's a night shot. You can't really tell lights. And there's the light bar. Good gravy. I don't like how the stock setup turns the fog lights off, so I will be deleting that. But she's bright. I'll show you what it looks like in the field. But there's an up close shot. Go ahead and turn it off. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so there's what the field looks like. That goes really deep. Go ahead and turn them on. And there's what the light bar does. It kind of gives a good center spotlight. And of course, if we had a light bar on the top of the truck or something, it would light up a lot more. This is just a 32-inch bar, but that's a huge difference. There's the dim, and that's lighting up way more than the camera will show, of course. So make sure to go to offroadledbars.com to get yourself a set of some sick LED bulbs.
Like my new truck. Sick nasty.
Still can't see. But yeah, check out the link in the description and discount code. Use it because it does help us out. Stay tuned for the next video where we put a leveling kit and some sick wheels and tires on the truck. We'll see you fellas later.
Peace out, broskies.
Peace out.